Welcome back in for the Mixed Media Deck Build. The deck build is footage that was originally shown on my Instagram account only, and I sped it up 400% as I followed Crafty Hope through her 52 weeks of Crafty Hope prompts, which was a prompt challenge that was actually built onto the deck of cards. This time I've slowed it down to real time. I will show one card each week through 2024 for those of you who prefer the real-time videos.
Rest with me, close to curtains, brew some herbal tea.
So today we're gonna start with the 8 of Hearts and get some basic collage down. So I'm pulled out my scrap bin of giblets. These are all leftovers from other projects, and I am just pulling things out that I've used. The first sheet I've actually pulled out is from just something I pulled in as a piece of underpaper, and then the rest is pretty much little giblets out of my basket, and just getting it all collaged down.
Rest with me, close to curtains, brew some herbal tea. Reach out for me, take my hand and lead even when I disagree. Maybe then I can relax.
Oh, you know what? This paper is also something that it's a handwritten paper that I noticed the pen on it bled. And so I did a little coffee staining on it a long time ago. And so I did pull this out to work with as well, because this is very old piece of like tablet tablet paper, and it just was fun, and it fit the vintage prompt. Well, I guess this paper wasn't in my giblet basket either. This is something that I just used as an offshoot. It was like catching all my excess when I was using distress stains and distress oxide sprays. So I don't ever want that stuff to go to waste, so I always kind of have a paper on the side that I use. It's a little thicker paper, and you can see as I'm gluing it down with my matte medium that I'm being really careful because I don't want it to move a lot. But what ends up happening when I go over it just by patting kind of that gel medium, because I know it wants to move, I'm getting it to sit in place now because it's got that matte medium over the top, but it's also popping. The color is really popping out, and that really ended up inspiring me as we move forward in this.
To curtains, brew some herbal tea.
Now this little handmade stamp was given to me by Crafty Hope, and so I thought, oh, this is good to use this. I'm not really good friends with StazOn, and as you can tell, this pad got dry because of lack of use, really, but thankfully I did have a re-inker and was able to get it re-inked up, and got my required StazOn down onto the page.
But who cared for the world now? Rest with me, close to curtains, brew some herbal tea. Reach out for me, take my hand and lead even when I disagree.
So I do give this a bit of a dry because my experience with StazOn pigment is that the StazOn, they don't dry really quickly, and if you get your hands in them, they're kind of sticky, and I always seem to do that. So I do give it a little bit of a dry here, and then we do what's my favorite part is cutting the edges down and seeing what's left on the card. And then I'm going to pull out, I knew we needed to use watercolor markers. And so with watercolor, I really like to use some texture so it has the watercolor can pool into that area. So I pulled out this golden pumice. It's basically a really fine sand paste, like super fine. And it does have a grayish tone to it, so I wanted it really thin because I didn't really want that gray to come through, but I did want something with a little bit of texture just for that watercolor to eventually pool into and make some fun marks. And so I did pull that out. It's a fairly new to me product. I reviewed it in my Mixed Media Basics, which I will link up in the upper right hand corner for you, so you can see my review of a whole bunch of different sand pastes.
Fireplace, do you know how? Piles of paper, my desk is out. Who will care for the world out? Rest with me, close to curtains, brew some herbal tea. Reach out for me.
So I do give that a bit of a dry before I move on. It dried really quickly because I had it so thin. And then I'm going to come in. Now, I don't have watercolor, quote unquote, watercolor markers. These markers are the Faber-Castell Pitt pens. So I have, they don't make the big ones anymore, the big brush, but I used the dark sepia, the nougat, and then in the smaller ones, I used medium flesh, light flesh, and light skin. And those I felt matched those colors that on that piece with the distress oxides and the distress stains on it. So that's why I went with it, because I really wanted to bleed that kind of out into the golden sand paste. So the beauty of the Faber-Castell pens is that while they're still wet, you can move them around. So I pull out this water brush, as you've just seen, and moving them around. And then once they're dry, they stay put. There's no moving them again. And that is really the fun thing about the Faber-Castell Pitt pens, and I consider them like a watercolor marker.
Just rest with me, close to curtains, brew some herbal tea. Reach out for me, oh, and take my hand and lead even when I disagree. Rest with me, close the curtain, brew some herbal tea. Reach out for me, and take my hand and lead even when I disagree. Gravel road, I've been asked to slow down. Fireplace, do you know how? Piles of paper, my desk is out. Who will care for the world out? Rest with me, close to curtains, brew some herbal tea. Reach out for me, take my hand and lead even when I disagree. Oh, how I love when it rains outside, and it's okay to slow the ride.
So I've pulled out this vintage button and pulled it off the card backing, and I do have some of this dye bath cotton packing string. I'm just gonna pull it apart and I will spare you me trying to thread it on a needle and then pull it through that button and just kind of tie it off, and then I'm gonna start preparing my focal point.
For me, take my hand and lead even when I disagree. Maybe then I can relax. Maybe then I can bring my feet loose in my bed. Just rest sweetly close to curtain, brew some herbal tea. Reach out for me, oh, and take my hand and lead even when I disagree. Rest sweetly close to curtain, brew some herbal tea. Reach out for me, and take my hand and lead even when I disagree. Gravel road, I've been
I got purchased this vintage photo from Ricky Tikki Tavi. I'll have her Etsy shop listed down below, but part of that pack was a whole bunch of photos from this little couple's wedding, and I just fell in love with them. They're cute, they've got such big smiles, and so I end up using this photo in here. I'm just gonna rip it down to the size to fit on the card.
close to curtains, brew some herbal tea. Reach out for me, take my hand and lead even when I disagree. Oh, how I love when it rains outside, and it's okay to slow the ride. Discover books I forget.
Because where I decided to place the photo, I was covering up some of that yummy vintage handwriting, and so I decided to bring a part of that back in and back that photo with it and have some down below. I then decided to come in here with some more of those Faber-Castell pens and kind of colorize it a little bit. It does come across in this footage as really dark, but it really lightens up as it dries.
Maybe then I can relax. Maybe then I can bring my feet loose in my bed. Oh, just rest sweetly slow down. Fireplace, do you know how? Piles of paper, my desk is out. Who will care for the world out? Rest with me, close to curtains, brew some herbal tea. Reach out for me, take my hand and lead even when I disagree. Oh, how I love when it rains outside.
So I'm pulling out my bin of words and I find these words almost immediately. I go towards those words that I had cut out of a book. They were really tiny, so I glued them onto a little piece of white paper that was a little bit heavier than the original words were, just so they were easy to deal with. Cut those out, kind of get them ready to go down and glue them down, and then I take one of those Faber-Castell Pitt pens and kind of give it a little shadow underneath and call it good.
Take my hand and lead even when I disagree. Maybe then I can relax. Bring my heels in my bed. Just rest with me, close to curtain, brew some herbal tea. Reach out for me, oh, and take my hand and lead even when I disagree. Rest with me, close the curtain, brew some herbal tea. Reach out for me, and take my hand and lead even when I disagree. Gravel road, I've been asked to slow down. Fireplace, do you